Command, this is Guardsman Hannon. Situation report, over. Guardsman Hannon, this is Command. Send sitrep data package at level Omega encryption using Gamma Vox coordinates. The Emperor protects, over. This is Guardsman Hannon. Acknowledged. Data package being sent. The Emperor protects, out. G'day. A bit of a new video format for you. Every second week I'm going to do an update video. It's going to cover off what I've been doing in the hobby of 40k looking after Astra Militarum. It's going to cover off, of course, the hobby aspect with painting, kit bashing and assembling. The tactical aspect, be it any releases by GW as we work our way through the 9th edition, and also games I play. And then finally all the lore aspects, so any audiobooks I listen to, books I read, or any of the new stuff which is coming out on YouTube or Warhammer Plus. Bit of a different format, hopefully keeps you entertained. So here we go. Right, so from a hobby point of view, I realise I've got a pretty big hobby pile of shame. I've got numerous kits to complete. I've got what's left over from a terrain piece from GW, or terrain set. I've then got numerous pieces or kits from Adeptus Custodes with the jet bike dudes, and then the Guardian troopers, don't know what they're called, but the guys with the shields and the Guardian spears. I've then of course got Gaunt's Ghosts, which I'd love to play one day because they've got some great rules. And then some more Bolgrams, 3 more Bolgrams to paint. The most recent delivery is actually coming today, which is all of the Catachan characters. So Sergeant Harker, Strachan, both metal miniatures, and Sly Marbo is a fine cast miniature. And if you didn't know, his rules are not in the codex, must have been added a bit later, but actually in this little leaflet here is all his rules, and there are some very, very interesting rules, particularly his lethal ambush ability, and also the like fighting as shadow as well. There's some super cool rules in here. I bought these 3 with the idea to use them in a competitive tournament list, where I'll be playing a tournament for the first time in February of next year. So they're all working towards that list there. Then on to actual sort of stuff that's work in progress, moving on quite nicely, is this terrain piece is finished from that kit. So it's really nice to paint this, and it's so simple to do. It is by GW, it's not cheap, but I really like it. It's a very nice looking bit of terrain. It's got several other pieces as well. So I'm really enjoying painting this because they're quite simple and easy to do, and they're quite easy to bang out, and it's quite satisfying when you do so. Other stuff underway, I've got Commissar Yarrick. I've had this model since I was a little kid, and only now at the age of 37 I'm braving actually painting him. But you can see how old-fashioned this miniature is. This ridiculous sort of crab claw and the very old-fashioned skulls are used on the miniature. The good thing is you can probably still use this miniature. The base is the same size as the current model. It's actually quite a decent character, albeit 105 points, so not cheap for Astra Militarum troops. Next is then 5 more infantry. Gosh, I'm going to just keep painting more and more. This will get me to 60 infantry models across 10 squads, of course, all with las guns, and all working towards that competitive list I've spoken about. I then also went and bought some Wyvern Psykers. They were bought with the idea to be basically proxied as Astropaths, because they're the only Astropath kits I think are in some weird, or not weird, but some of the different external games outside of 40k. But I got those to paint as well. I've started work also on an Adeptus Custodes Shield Captain. Now, obviously painting these compared to these guys takes way more time, because at 175 points for this model, you're spending a lot of time getting it very, very beautifully done. I've done 3 of these before, they look fantastic when they're done quite well, but they do take a fair bit of time to make them look very, very nice. And then the last thing, which I've just started to get myself a bit of diversity in painting, not get too bored, is another terrain piece as well. So this will match the color scheme of this bad boy here. So basically the field drum will be the red, and everything else will be this sort of bony white, but some variety in what I'm painting. And don't forget, of course, Bits Monster. So if based in the UK, they are a British business providing all bits and pieces for Astra Militarum plus other armies. If you check this video here, I've actually got a code where you get 10% off, so do check it out. So yeah, that's all the hobby work up to date. Right, so on to tactics and just some of the announcements I want to call out. The first article is about who gets a new codex next.
It clearly calls out Black Templars next in November, and then these two ones, which are sort of TBC in December. This is almost about 12 months late. Originally this was going to be January 2021, but COVID and delays have obviously caused this to happen. So looking at the illustrations, it does say in the article it's an Imperium Codex and a Xenos Codex. I really hope this is for Astra Militarum, but looking at the imagery, it could possibly also be Custodes, but I hope it's Astra Militarum, because when I look at some of these other articles, we definitely need it. My guess here, this is Tyranids, and I definitely think they need it as well, because they're also a army which has been left behind in the meta. Onto articles. This article here is for Kill Team, but it does give a bit of insight into what the Tyranids can expect, and I hope this is stuff that the Tyranid players can see also in the 40k game as well. Some cool stuff here about always having the benefits of cover, both heavy and light, and then also some stuff about reducing leadership within 6 inches of a Neurothrop, whatever that is. Anybody knows what it is, let me know. Other stuff to call out is a bit more detail about the Orcs. This is calling out one of their war bosses who mastered the White Squig, so really cool looking model. And some of the stuff this model can do on the tabletop is crazy. So the first one, which is consistent, we're seeing a lot across 40k 9th edition, is reduction of damage, so reducing it by 1, so just like the Death Guard Legion trait. The other thing which is absolutely bonkers is the big Trumpet Jaws. On a wound roll of 6, it inflicts 4 mortal wounds. Not 1, but 4. Holy hell. Yeah, and then finally for Thousand Suns, this article talks about the Rubik Marines and also Terminators, which is basically just their Space Marines. So the first thing which is really cool for these models is their auto pass morale, considering they're just empty shells of spirits. But the other key thing I want to call out is just this consistent use now of flat 2 damage, and this is for one of their melee weapons. And this cannon here, heavy 5, I mean that's really strong. You think of like a battle cannon, it's heavy D6, now heavy 5. So some great announcements coming out, really sort of pumping up our 9th edition, and let's hope that Astra Militarum get a new codex very, very soon. And for my gameplay, I've got a game tomorrow against one of my friends who plays Death Guard, and I've decided to take a armoured list with the knowledge that if I don't get first turn, I'll be completely decimated. The list has 2 tank commanders, a company commander, 3 infantry squads, 2 astropaths, a tech priest, a command squad, 3 of the minimus battle tanks, including a Senator autocannon, and a manticore, and a single bandblade. Using gunnery experts and jury rig repairs, with bandblade using the tank case stratagem with steadfast Leviathan. My plan is to basically protect the bandblade with the astropaths casting Psychic Barrier and Night Shroud, and the tech priest to repair any wounds on the bandblade if it's still alive. My friend plans to play 3 Plague Burst Crawlers, all with 2 entropy cannons, 2 Contemptor Dreadnoughts with the twin Volkite Culverins, so more than enough firepower to chew through the bandblade with its 26 wounds. Either way, it should be fun. I'm not probably going to win, but it's love to see how the bandblade goes and probably prove to myself that it sucks at the moment. But either way, I'll let you know how I go in the next update. And finally, from a lore point of view, I've been enjoying the audio book, the Astra Militarum audio collection on Audible. It's a collection of 7 short stories with covering off the elites and drop troops in the first 3, one about a bandblade crew, one of Commissar Kane, and 2 with the Catachan or Catachan jungle fighters. The listening one basically follows the story of a commissar interrogating some Elysian drop troops, and basically investigating the death of a snotty company commander or captain who basically winds everyone up the wrong way. The bandblade story is really cool. Basically follows a mixed crew of bandblade operators, including a really cool tech priest who soothes the machine spirit, and basically the eventual death in battle. Dead in the Water is interesting because it covers off Commissar Kane. I think it must be quite an old story because the voiceover for his assistant, his name forgets me, is done quite differently to all the more recent the Commissar Kane stories. So really interesting and cool to listen to that and basically follow his journey through fighting through Tyranids in the jungle and also eventually fighting a Drukhari witch or a Drukhari female leader. And The Devil You Know and Waiting for Death covers off the Catachan, not Catachan, which I thought is the way to pronounce it. Basically follows them moving through the jungle, and Waiting for Death covers off a lot of Colonel Strachan and basically a platoon of his troops going mad fighting each other, or driven by a witch who makes them all a bit crazy. So yeah, interesting short stories. Is it worth the money? If you're on Audible, definitely is the credit. Will I pay for this? No, but these 7 stories are really cool, particularly probably the Elysian drop troops, which I don't know much about, and probably then followed on by the Catachan, not Catachan, stories in these 2 short stories here.
Right, so there you have it. Hopefully you found it interesting, see what I've been up to in the last couple of weeks. If you enjoyed the video, let me know, and if you didn't enjoy it, also let me know with a thick skin so I can take most feedback. But if you want to support me, you can do so with a like, comment, or by subscribing, or leaving a super thanks, which I think is located about here on the YouTube screen, a little love heart. You can leave me a bit of a donation, or supporting me on Patreon. I've got a Patreon platoon set up with a link below as well. Either way, thanks for watching. Patreon platoon, sound off.
Colour Sergeant DuPont, Sergeant Brady, Sergeant Gilliam, Sergeant Merrill, Veteran Adal, Veteran Gibson, Veteran Hall, Veteran Lundeen, Veteran Mitchell, Veteran Witten, Guardsman Tom.